Hey there. I'm glad you could make it out to the homestead today. Don't want to be lonely. I'd miss you if you weren't here. So behind me, you can see this forest. That's the weeds on top of our mounds, and it's time for those to go. They're ugly, they're an eyesore, they're icky. The bees have kind of started leaving them alone. We left them there because the bees were coming here. And we want as many bees on the property as we can get to take care of the plants out in the garden. And that's worked well. But it's time to go. Don't like looking at it. It's a mess. So I'm going to go grab the weed eater and probably both batteries and hack at it. So don't go anywhere. I'm coming right back. That is a lot of grass I got off the top of that, well, grass and weeds off the top of that mound. It sure looks a lot better. Sure looks a lot smaller too, and opened the yard up quite a bit. Now I got to take that grass, I'll put it in the wheelbarrow and haul it off over to the grass mulch pile we have over there, and see what other kind of trouble I can get into after that. You know, I didn't always used to work at Lowe's. Lowe's is my retirement job. I retired 20 years from a school district in Central California. It was a very large school district, and I became the fleet manager there. So I was in charge of 167 buses and 250 pickups, cars, and vans, 300 golf carts, believe it or not, and making sure that all of those were on the road and kept safe for the people to drive and safe for the public when we operated around them. It's a big job. It was really nice when I finally retired. Boy, it was probably 6 months. I was sitting there on the couch one day, and I just had to let out a big sigh because it was like, oh, I'm finally done with that. It was a 365-day-a-year job. I was on call 24/7. So it was a big job. It was a rewarding job, but it was time for me to go. Brenda got a job in another city, so she went there, and then I retired and sold the house and moved there, followed her there. Then we ended up in Texas after she was done with her job. So that's the kind of fun part. But this working on the land stuff and all this work, I've done some of it before. I mean, everybody's mowed lawns and weed eated and that kind of stuff, I'm sure. The construction part of it, I've done that before I went to work for a school district. I did remodeling and that kind of stuff with my brother-in-law. And we've just always done for ourselves. So coming out to the land wasn't a shocker, all that has to be done. We just took off a big bite, that's all. But that's okay, it's coming around. Slower than we want it to, but coming around nonetheless. But let's get back to grass. Got to put it somewhere. What we have here is Brenda's deciding she wanted to prune this one little tree. Well, the one little tree ended up being 3 piles of branches. Some are thorny branches, most are thorny branches, and then there's a pile of non-thorny branches. So I asked her, I says, well, when you use the wheelbarrow, be careful of those thorns. And she said, well, I was hoping you'd do it, since, you know, you're already doing that stuff. Okay, no problem. Anyway, we got to put those out on the burn piles so we can light them off later. Aren't exactly little, are they? Alright, I was doing some weed eating, kind of accidentally off camera because I forgot to turn the camera on. Oh well, it happens. And you've seen me weed eat before. But while I was weed eating, I found this in the weeds. That is a window guard from a 1931 Model A 1.5-ton truck. That was my grandfather's and my great-grandfather's. I got it, I actually got the truck from my uncle years ago. And we kept it for a couple of years, but we couldn't do the restoration that we wanted to do. And some stuff going on, so we had to get rid of the truck. But before I got rid of the truck, I kept that window guard because it has HP on it, which stands for my grandfather, Howard Peterson. So God rest his soul. He's been gone for a long, long time. He died when I was 3 years old. I have one memory of him, and that was when he got a brand new 1963 Massey Ferguson tractor. Really nice tractor. Before that, he had 8Ns, but he bought that Massey Ferguson diesel tractor, and I remember going for a ride on it with him. I was 3 years old, according to my folks. But anyway, that's where this came from. And someday I'll use it on something, or I'll hang it up for art. I don't know. And I'm struggling with whether or not I should clean it up and paint it or leave it rusty. So I don't know. Part of me wants to keep it old, original, and rusty. Maybe that's what I'll do. In the meantime, though, back to weed eating. Well, that's it for that battery. And the other battery I just put on charge probably 30 minutes ago. I'm sure there's not enough charge there to do what I need to do. So maybe I'll just call it quits. Maybe I'll just go get the lawnmower. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, I think that's all the work I'm going to do today. The lawn in the very front part looks pretty good. Weed eating done. I'm tired now, so I'm going to sign off. Glad you could make it. I'm just stopping and starting and stuff, so try again. Alrighty, I am done for the day. I've done all I can do. Okay, I've done all I want to do, and I need to go get cleaned up because I got to go to work in the morning, and there should be dinner pretty quick too. That sounds like a good plan. Anyway, sure appreciate you watching. God bless you. We'll see you next time on the homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, leave us a comment, and thanks for watching.